Hello, my name's Alana. Welcome to Return to Self. If we haven't met before, then it's lovely to meet you. Today I received a channeled message from the angels, which is a follow-up to the video that I did that was based on a channeled message from the fairies, which was about manifesting your destiny. And this was specifically in relation to people's careers. But what I was getting through today was actually about how to come into your authenticity in order to manifest your purpose. So here's a brief sort of guide as to how to do that according to the angels. So what I was being told is that to come into your inner authenticity, it requires self-embodiment. So in order to come into self-embodiment, you need to be able to embrace your feminine energy with your masculine energy and to have both energies balanced. So that can require a lot of chakra work, can involve working through throat chakra issues, heart issues, solar plexus related issues, sacral related issues, and things like that. So it can take quite a big amount of transmutation sort of work to get to this point. The reason a lot of people can't come into their inner authenticity, I've been told, is because of childhood trauma, which makes sense really, because if you're taught as a child never to express your true self, never to have an opinion on things or to express your emotions, or being told that you're too much, or you're just basically ignored, you basically learn how to mask. And masking is just about I guess sort of trying to fit into the world in a way that feels safe and acceptable to a child. And a lot of us unfortunately do learn to mask because of our backgrounds. This really impacts on the heart chakra, unfortunately, because with all of this masking comes a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of insecurity, lack of self-worth, an inability to embrace our sort of own personal power, an inability to set boundaries with people, set boundaries around our time, our expectations of people, boundaries around who we will and won't let into our lives, and all that kind of stuff. By embracing the feminine in particular, you're able to then start getting in touch with those really strong gut feelings and intuitive feelings. The more in touch with your feminine side that you are, the more likely you are to embrace your intuitions and gut feelings and things like that. So another part of it is learning to find your voice. So this is about expressing yourself. It's about expressing yourself even when you feel uncomfortable. This can be speaking up, say, for example, in situations with friends, with partners, in workplace situations as well. If something, has triggered you, or you feel like something needs to be said about a situation, it's about being authentic and not hiding, your feelings or your thoughts or ideas and things like that, but actually actively expressing it, even though it could result in other people being unhappy, I guess, about what you've expressed. It's just really important because that's who you authentically are. And I know that's hard if you are struggling with self-acceptance, but it's also a really big part of actually being able to accept yourself, because when you give yourself permission to be who you are, you're telling yourself that you're okay. You're embracing your uniqueness, you're embracing your quirks, you're embracing yourself fundamentally for who you are. And that's a really important part of this self-embodiment kind of work that we need to do as a collective. So I also got told that you need to do the things that bring you joy. So it's really important that you start focusing on things that you're passionate about, that you are joyful about. It's about being around friends who you find are uplifting. It's about working in spaces that you find uplifting, doing things that you are passionate about, that you enjoy doing. So rather than working in jobs that you're not necessarily sort of thrilled about or are only sort of ho-hum kind of type jobs, it's about doing those things that give you that sort of feeling of sort of like passion and excitement and things like that. So I know that this can be hard in certain circumstances, especially if you are in transitional periods. Say, for example, if you are in a job where you are not, sort of fully resonating with the environment, you kind of know that you're not meant to be there anymore, but you kind of don't know what to do with yourself. So in those cases, it's good to work towards your goals while maintaining your sort of presence in the workplace and things like that, but to actively do things that help you to work towards some sort of goal that you have. So say, for example, if you're wanting to set up, a Reiki healing business, for example, it could mean that you start doing some Reiki healing from home on days that you don't work or on the weekend. It could mean setting up a healing space for yourself, decorating it with all of the artwork and crystals and things like that help to uplift you, that help to give you a sense of, of yourself. Things that bring you joy, make you excited, make you passionate. Doing those, even just having a space where you can meditate for yourself. All of that is helping you to align with who you are, and all of that helps to change your timeline, basically, because you're then actively working towards the goals that you want. And that is a part of embracing that masculine energy. So the masculine energy, when it's in its healed sort of form, is about taking action. It's about being assertive. It's about being confident, and it's about decisiveness. So it's about basically making choices that resonate within your soul, and not doing things that you no longer find are in the flow, that no longer resonate with you. It's things like not being around people who bring you down, or who there's always conflict with, or it's kind of just removing yourself from a lot of those situations. You don't have to do it in a sort of a nasty way. It's just basically sending out a signal to the universe saying, I don't want this experience anymore. So this process is also really about allowing yourself to do some self-reflection work so that you can find that sort of like that thing or that place within yourself where you know what you're meant to be doing. It involves a lot of sort of looking at your values. It involves a lot of looking at what you enjoy in life, the things that that you would willingly kind of do for free. So for some people this could be poetry, for other people it could be healing work, for another person it could be being a psychologist. It's whatever brings you joy, whatever feels like it's in alignment with your soul path, I guess. And it's just really important to be able to kind of identify those things, because they act as an inner compass basically, and that's what will drive you towards your life purpose basically, or your destiny really. So they're also telling me it's about working on your solar plexus as well. So for some of you might have difficulties with the more masculine sort of like energies, because this is the place of where you find your self-acceptance and things like that, your self-worth, all of that sort of identity based stuff. So if you are feeling disempowered at the moment, then this can be a really good place to start working on. You could, to sort of help improve this sort of chakra, you could start doing things like learning to set boundaries. So that could just be simple things like if a friend of yours asks you if you can, look after their kids, or asks you if you could collect something for them or something like that. Just something, just small things that we all get asked on a daily sort of basis. It's about, sort of checking in with yourself to see, do I actually want to do this? Is this something that resonates for me right now? Or is it something that I just have to say, hey, no, I can't do this, I'm really sorry, and just be honest with them. So it's about taking those small steps. It's also about, setting boundaries. If somebody's with people, if they've upset you or if they've done something or said something that you feel like is out of line, it's about actually, sort of addressing this with people. It's about being upfront about it. It's about confronting people with things, not in an aggressive sort of like way, but just in a being honest, being sort of open kind of way, I guess. So if you're, a colleague of yours has said something or done something that you find is inappropriate, like they've yelled at you in front of people, or they've made some sort of snide remark, or, sort of just things like that, then it's about actually, addressing that issue with that person, if it's safe to do so. Okay, so I'm going to put that premise in there because I think in certain environments, it's not always safe to confront people in that way, especially if you know that there's going to be a lot of backlash. So I would voice myself in situations where you feel like it's safe, and if it's not safe, if you get that intuitive feeling that it's not safe, then it's probably best to leave that situation rather than sort of hanging around and hoping that things work themselves out. Because this is, this is basically psychic protection 101, really. If people are going to be sending out sort of, nasty kind of energies and things like that, or they're sort of jealous of you or vindictive, or, whatever it happens to be, they've probably got a lot of their own stuff going on. Well, then it's not something that you actually need to be around. It's not something that is benefiting you in any sort of like way, shape or form. And once you have that sort of self-acceptance and that, that self-worth, you're not going to want to be or resonate with those kind of situations anymore. So I guess basically the overall message from the angels is just to validate yourself, explore your values, your dreams, what calls to you, basically. Like, what is it in your life that you really want to be doing? And then start taking those active steps towards your goals. This will definitely help to manifest that destiny that you feel called towards. It may not happen overnight. Actually, in most cases, it probably won't happen overnight. It's going to take a bit of time to get into that space. I think the process of self-embodiment does take time. It's not something that happens overnight. It requires you to sort of start a lot of new habits, and those you have to do and apply yourself consistently with those new habits. So a book that could be really helpful right now is the book, I think it's Atomic Habits. I can't remember who the author is, but it's a really amazing book on habit setting and basically how you can work towards achieving goals. So this could even be useful in terms of manifesting your destiny or your life purpose, because it should help to show you how to break up your dreams and your goals into smaller chunks that then you can then sort of like work towards achieving. I think that's all that I'm getting at the moment, but yeah, I hope this has given you a bit of extra information if you have needed it, and that that it's been helpful, I guess, in some way, shape or form. All right then, well, I'll end it here, but thank you for listening and tune in to the next one. All right, thanks.